Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Guile here, and welcome back to the Forged Alliance Forever promotional series. Friday. I know it's a very strange day indeed to be putting out cast, but that is the way of things. For those of you that aren't fans of my Facebook page and don't know, I had a few problems this week. The decorators are back once again, and this time instead of doing the upstairs rooms, they are next door, downstairs next door to the little office where I do these casts. And as comfortable as I am within myself, I just couldn't bring myself to sit there and get casting some video games while a few feet away through some plaster stood men who spend their spare time watching Man United and some other nondescript football team duel it out in 90-minute games where absolutely nothing happens except for a bunch of people falling over and crying on a grass pitch while drinking gallons of booze in the pub. You understand where I'm coming from. Of course you do. We're all slightly socially rejected from our typical male groups in that way, I'm sure. But anyway, so they've left, and I'm able to get some content together to bring you. So I don't know what's going on news-wise with FAF or tourney-wise, so we can roll straight to the action now. I've got some ladder action. It's pro level, top of the range, if you can see the little scrolling figures there at the bottom of the screen. And it's all going to go down on Roanoke Abyss. So hold on to your potatoes as we go on over to the game zone and see how these guys are going to get on. Now, we all know what we're doing with here on Roanoke, so let's take a look at our players up at the top in the red corner, 12 o'clock position. It's none other than my good friend Blackheart. He's going Cybrin, feeling very dirty today, and opening first land and going second air. And his opponent down here at the bottom in the blue corner, 6 o'clock position. It's none other than ZLO, also going his very customary dirty Cybrin. So it's a Cybrin mirror matchup, opening first land and then just going air all day. Look at that. He's opening with a couple of P-gens first. In fact, taking a look at the build queue there, it looks like he's getting more than enough P-gens together. So about half of the circle around that land factory before switching up to that first air factory. So pretty heavy concentration on air spam, it looks like, for him. While these guys are warming up, though, a few people have sent in some questions about how to submit replays to me. Well, it's quite simple, really. All of the information about how to send them to me is in the description below all the videos. You just have to open that up, guys, and it's at the bottom. That will tell you how to get the replay ID to me. That is all I need to do it. Sometimes the replay rather, corrupts in the vault, and if that's the case, I will try and get back in contact with you and ask you to host your local version of it, but hopefully that won't be necessary. It usually isn't. And I would ask as well, please, 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 can you try and check for desyncs first of all? I waste probably about half an hour to an hour a week watching replays that desync, so it takes up an awful lot of time for me, and it would save me a great deal of time if you could just check before you submit. It's incredibly infuriating as well, especially when I think it's looking like a really good replay and I get to about 10 minutes before the end and that horrible dreaded desync message comes up. It really ruins my day. So yeah, please check beforehand. If you're wondering what's going to increase your chances of getting casted, well, I like close games typically, although people have started to ask me to show a little bit more variation and not always go for just the comebacks or the ultra uber long close games. So I'm going to try and start mixing it up a little bit in the future, guys. But what I really like is I do like comebacks. I like close play, not a complete turtle fest. Constant action, that's always a must. And if you really want to increase your chances, then pick up your comm in a transport and throw it at your opponent's face. I love comm drops. Very few things get me as moist as a good early comm drop, and then you start building a base within their base and being all kinds of douchiness. That's good fun for everybody. So more of that, please. Not that I'm trying to influence your play at all, but it worked for TLO, so what are you waiting for? But anyway, things are starting to heat up now in this one. A little bit of airplay going on. T1 Bomber being chased down by Blackheart. Doesn't want that running amok and going after any of the NGs. Blackheart manages to airdrop a few units of build capacity over to that island over there. It looks like the NGs up until now for ZLO have been hoofing it out on foot, and they've done a pretty good job of expanding to all of these islands so far. and seem to be getting things under control. We do have a transport that is moving away now. Seems to be coming up here to assist. In fact, no, it isn't. Goodness gracious me. ZLO is being about as greedy as a Cyberian player could possibly hope to be. Blackheart homing in on it, though, trying to get a kill with an Inti, but there are far too many escorting that there for ZLO. So look at that. Engineers being airdropped all over the place, just trying to pick up as many islands as he can. It's just one of those maps, though, isn't it, Roanoke? Especially in a 1v1. So many islands, so many mexes to collect. Can't let your opponent outdo you in the early stages. A little bit of a strange drop-off there. I'm guessing he's probably thinking ZLO. No, he's not. I was wondering if he thought ZLO might be set up there already, but he's going to do a little bit of a proxy naval base build there, right at the eastern edge of the map. ZLO still going with tandem airdrops, though. Another one over here. Skyhook dropping engineers off all over the place, but Blackheart is quick off the draw with that one, so no success there. However, there's another one landing in the middle there. And that time, ZLO will get the drop on Blackheart. Nice, quick reclaiming there, and immediately starts capturing that T1 mechs as well. I suspect that radar not long for this world either. Transport heading home for Blackheart. No NGs on board. Potentially a kill there if ZLO was quick off the draw, but I don't think he had the intel to spot it. Quick cap there. Another engineer going down. So this is good capture work here from ZLO, although he is still lagging behind ever so slightly in the eco games, 73 to 56 at current reading. Let's take a look at the reclaim figures. Well, it's climbing all the time, but 3,650 there for Blackheart. ZLO on 4,500, so a little bit of a gap between them, but nothing major. And of course, you can see there the mass income fluctuating all the time between these two guys, so there really isn't a great deal in it, as you wouldn't expect there to be inside the first 10 minutes. But we're starting to get the first few naval units interacting now as those two frigates, those two tridents, cross each other's paths there in the center of the map. Skyhook laden with more NGs there for Blackheart. Is he going one at a time? She's not NGs at all. Look at that. That is a mix of Mantis and Sky Slammers. Just drops the one assault bot down onto the ground, goes straight after the unit of build capacity, and then starts working on the mechs. Bomber inbound from Blackheart. There's an awful lot of engineers clumped up down here. Blackheart could get his stuff together. He could score a nice kill on that, but he's going after the mechs. Hasn't got the intel ready, and of course lots of inties ready to shoot him down there for ZLO. ZLO also turns up a little bit late to that western island there, just too late to pick off that Skyhook that has yet more units inbound on other islands. ZLO has made a cheeky little Mantis drop, though, to the center. Thought for a moment that was a PD, but that was in fact a tracer. So one unit of anti-air bites the dust, down goes the radar, and the mechs soon to follow as well. So these two guys now, attention everywhere already as we reach the 10-minute mark in this one. This is an absolutely brutal map to play on. I'll give you an idea of what's going on. That is the picture from ZLO, and of course very little in terms of intel. All of this is in pretty much complete darkness for him, and of course not a very different picture from Blackheart's side of things at all. So it really is an APM nightmare. ZLO exclaiming he's having a few issues with his eco, and a large band of inties flies right past that Skyhook with some build capacity on there from Blackheart, trying to chase down Blackheart's air force, but of course all he needed to do was redirect just the one inti, and that would have scuppered that transport. But up here, couple of tridents duking it out. That's going to go better there for Blackheart. Engineer does bite the dust in the crossfire. Let's see who's doing a little bit better on the naval production side of things. Well, it does seem to be that Blackheart has the better of it for the moment. If we take a look at total number of naval factories, T1, we're looking at 7 on the field right now, but we do have a T2 naval HQ in play. ZLO's Air Force finally catches up with Blackheart's Air Force at the top here and starts kicking 7 shades of poo out of them. Down here, now we can see no T2 naval factory yet, but we do have a T2 air factory for ZLO. So ZLO focusing very heavily on the air game in this one. Seems to be Salem's under construction from that T2 HQ. Very much less development work going on that starting island for Blackheart. 2 air factories and 2 land factories. Over at the northeastern position, we do have a T2 land factory HQ. Currently producing Wagners by the looks of things, so a little bit of amphibious assault underway there for Blackheart. ZLO returning with those inties from the northern side of the map. It's always dangerous trying to counter Navy with air. ZLO, if he's going to make this work, really needs to go after the islands in a big way and try to cripple Blackheart's eco. We've got quite a lot of T2 air factories in play now. So you've got the HQ and 4 standard T2 factories surrounding it. So major airplay invested here for ZLO. Has all of his naval factories paused for the moment, trying to get as much power online as possible. You can see Blackheart slightly ahead in the mass side of things, 99 to 89, but behind in the power. Power not such a necessity for him, as he's not pushing the air game as hard as his opponent is. But there we can see these Wagners starting to enter the fray, strolling across the islands, taking a shell from a Medusa there, and momentarily being EMP'd. Those Medusas incredibly irritating. Down goes a Trident next to that island. Those Cormorants doing a good job against the T1 Navy. It's all fun and games, though, until a horde of cruisers turn up on your doorstep. But if ZLO, like I said, can cripple Blackheart's eco before it gets to that stage, and suddenly a huge jump for ZLO, 116 to 88 now for him, ecoing very nicely indeed. Reclaim side of things, 7,500 for ZLO. Blackheart on 6,700. Blackheart, of course, as we've seen many times before, incidentally, one of the best in the game on reclaim when it comes to that. So ZLO at the moment doing a fantastic job on that side of things. But look at this, the first few Salems that have entered service now reaching their primary targets. The southwestern island under fire now. In come some Medusas going after the Tridents initially, and even those large naval units, comparatively massive compared to those T1 artillery pieces, aren't immune to that EMP. It really is such a useful tool. Complain about the Zois and their ability to traverse water, but the Medusas are just epic when it comes to their powers to disable. But that Salem still alive and still causing problems. The range, of course, far exceeding anything that ZLO has got on the island at the moment. In come the interceptors, no doubt running screen for these renegade gunships which have turned up just to the southwest of that island, currently working on that frigate. Meanwhile, out in the east, another Salem turns up, this time to the southeastern island. Cormorants and renegades hovering above. Needs to be careful. There are an awful lot of torpedo bombers there and gunships. And in comes the kill order. See, they can do an awful lot of damage incredibly quickly. Blackheart doesn't even survive the first pass. There is another Salem right next to it, but that will be a sitting duck for all of those torpedo bombers. How long before we start seeing some cruisers entering the fray, now that Blackheart will surmise he's not facing a tremendous threat on the naval side of things. Having said that, we do have a little bit more of a commitment now from ZLO. A lot of build capacity around that far western naval yard, but still no T2 that I can see, unless he's got a proxy naval base that's gone up somewhere and he's going to be delivering from that. I don't think so. There's a far forward one here, but that's currently paused. One lone trident up here for ZLO, making a nuisance of himself. That just shows you, isn't it? One single solitary trident. That is exactly the kind of thing that I would forget to micro. I would be far too busy, but no, even that unit doesn't get missed for very long. ZLO issuing a recall command to get it out of range of those Wagners, which are actually, to their credit, following on the bottom of the ocean. Cybran amphibious units, of course, they don't like hovering. That's terribly UEF and Aeon. That's not their style. We go underwater if we're Cybran. Goes with their underhand tactics. Terribly untrustworthy lot, as we're all aware by now. But despite my bashing on ZLO for the air pressure, it's actually working quite well for the moment. He needs to clear out these units over here that are challenging that southwestern island, and for the moment most of the pressure that's being exerted is from Blackheart, and it's on this region of the map. So ultimately, with the exception of this T1 bomber and that Renegade, which is about to die, Blackheart looking relatively unchallenged. Just has to pick up these two mexes and he has almost complete security in this portion of the map, and complete mex domination. Meanwhile, down here things not looking quite so pretty for ZLO. Blackheart announcing that he's had a minor issue with his naval factories. I don't know if people are actually telling the truth when it comes to that. Could all be a cunning ploy, not the sort of thing that Blackheart, a player of his caliber, usually needs to resort to. Couple of tridents bearing down on the main base, but they're going to run out of steam before they get to too many cormorants in the area. There's another Salem coming in though, and those torpedo bombers need to be redirected, although that is a very large number of frigates that ZLO has suddenly been able to amass, and rather than pressuring the main base, he's got to worry about those. Blackheart finds his destroyer quite literally mobbed by this T1 Navy. There's also a T2 torpedo launcher down there as well. So down goes the Salem once again. This is all good mass for ZLO to reclaim, don't forget. And now we're starting to see cruisers. So recognizing the air threat, Blackheart has switched up. Another one nearly complete. There it goes. And that might be what happened with the naval yard there. Blackheart, slight issue with his ship production. Perhaps it was on the switch to cruisers from destroyers. So Blackheart literally throwing mass at his opponent now. He's ahead 147 to 122, but he's banked 11,000, and he's actually surpassed ZLO, who's on a couple of hundred mass behind him on reclaim, so virtually nothing in it. But it does mean that that generated mass advantage is now going to begin to bite. ZLO going to find it difficult to keep up the longer this game goes on. Really does need to establish himself in the naval game. Needs an upgrade to T2 Navy ASAP. That large group of tridents working its way over to this area. I'm surprised he didn't send it out west to try and secure that island down here. It seems to be where Blackheart is pushing most heavily, but he's thinking offense. They do say the best offense is, or the best defense is a good offense. I'm sounding all American there. The best defense is a good offense. Not saying you Americans say it wrong, just saying you say it incorrectly. Cormorants harassing those Wagners on the seabed that actually, to be fair, think how quickly they move. for underwater. That's pretty insane technology that Brackman has come up with there. Moving almost as quickly as those tridents, maybe as quickly. But they are going to make landfall, but they have been recognized as a threat. ZLO ordering his build capacity in the area to hurry up and manufacture some auto cannons, auto guns. There they go, 2 online, and a horde of T1. They're going to be more than secure in stopping that little push. But now these cruisers starting to join this main body, and also we've got a decent number of inties, and I'm wondering if Blackheart has actually overtaken ZLO in the air stakes. Well, he's got 22 inties and an extra 14 which are out of gas. ZLO still well ahead, 98 with 22 extra that are out of fuel. So pretty comfortable. However, those inties will get absolutely shredded if they try and attempt to fly or spend any time over the top of those sirens, those Cyberin cruisers. T2 land factory on the edge of that island taking fire, but 7,800 hit points is quite a lot to chew through for a band of frigates, even quite a large one. Might potentially survive. But those cruisers, whilst also bringing decent anti-air, bring with them a lot of extra range, and that island now suffering as a result. Down goes the radar. Has that killed all of the intel? Well, more or less. There are a few frigates here now entering from ZLO to the east, which are giving them some signals to shoot at with those mobile missile launchers, but really I don't actually see ZLO hanging on to that. To his credit, though, he is keeping up very nicely in terms of eco, 175 to 162. In fact, he is ahead at the moment. Reclaim 18,700 or 18,800 nearly for ZLO. Blackheart on 14,300. So once again, ZLO just surpassing him there. And we have T3 air on the field. ASFs under construction as we speak. And we actually have a strap bomber that's making his way up the western edge of the map. We'll see where he's headed. He's got his stealth activated and he's coming up here, no doubt looking for a bombing solution on the main base, which is pretty heavily unshielded. Could do with a couple more of them and maybe some ASFs for cover. Where is Blackheart on the tech side of things? Well, it seems to me that he's still operating off Tech 1 air. That land factory did survive with nearly 11,000 HP. In comes some cruisers and a Barracuda with a couple of, or a handful of tridents to shoo away that large frigate blockade of ZLO's, which is now trying to maneuver its way around the back of Blackheart's main base. ZLO really needs to make this assault count. That little island down there at the bottom is now well and truly torn asunder. Last T2 mechs shortly due to go down, and now we've got sirens bearing down on the main base. ZLO tries to rescue his air force as they launch a large volley, and that AoE just shredding inties. Of course, that tech more or less obsolete now as we've moved up to T3. And speaking of T3, in comes a strap bomber up at the top. He's going to go after build capacity. Down goes the bomb and takes out, well, quite a few, 25 kills in one shot. However, he is going to fly directly over that naval yard just when another siren is rolling out of the harbor there. Is he going to make it? It's going to be close, but look at the range on that anti-air, and down it goes. The inties were trailing, but they weren't going to catch That Siren just launching far too many projectiles for that strap bomber to deal with. But even with losing completely that southwestern island, ZLO miraculously still ahead, 177 to 166 in terms of eco. However, that's questionable how long he's going to be able to keep that up. Build capacity for Blackheart now rolling onto that island to capture it. ZLO still throwing tridents at this navy. Fortunately for him, there aren't any Salems in there, but it's an awful lot of firepower in terms of those cruisers. And that earlier little frigate force we saw from ZLO being chased around the map now by Blackheart. Those Barracudas, those Salems, and that... just bring a sonar platform with you, why not? Keep track of just about everything. Huge range on those T3 sonar platforms. There we go, look at that. Giving you more than enough intel of what's going on. It's a shame he wasn't able to do a little bit more with that strap bomber if he'd have escaped. Maybe come down here. Well, it's all pretty heavily shielded now. But if he could have got a few runs in, taken down a few of those T2 P-Gens, although there's an awful lot of them. Blackheart's sitting on 4K power, but he's using most of it. So a couple of those out of commission, that would have hampered Blackheart slightly, perhaps slowed up this torrent of naval spam that's just been heading south for just about all of this game. 26 going on 27 minutes gone in this one now. Lots and lots of Wagners approaching underwater. Quite a few Salems again, so we've got another T2 naval factory online up here. Blackheart's starting to produce a mix of T2 naval units now. One solitary Trident has taken issue with this mass storage in particular, because why not? And Blackheart asking if ZLO is preparing a teleport. Well, has he scouted something? Well, he's seen ZLO has an upgrade going on. He's about halfway through that. And he's probably also aware that he's well ahead, being as he's sitting on about 60% map control, or there or thereabouts, maybe a little bit more, maybe 70%, or somewhere in between. In come Blackheart's interceptors. I'm surprised ZLO's not going to get involved there. He's got a horde of ASFs and absolutely munched them. He's worried potentially, I guess, about cruiser fire, but I can't see any cruisers in here. And now he's decided he's going to get stuck in. ASFs start to absolutely shred those inties. Blackheart quite astonished about this emergence of T3 air power, which apart from that strap bomber up until now might not have known existed. And now the skies in this area of the map are very literally in the possession of ZLO, who also has a ton of whalers down here as well. And of course, when I say ton, I mean 3. But that's more than enough to deal with those Salems. However, needs to be careful. There's another naval push coming slightly further to the east. This one equipped with a couple of destroyers, a couple of Barracudas there, and a couple of Sirens. And this could make an awfully large dent in ZLO's eco. If he can get around the back and take out one of these ion reactors, ZLO finishes his upgrade. Let's take a look at what he's got on there and see if he's going for tele. Well, he's not. Teleport not there. Neither's the microwave. That was probably just an upgrade to RAS or T3. But either way, it's not helping him keep pace with Blackheart, who's now beginning to pull away from ZLO in mass, 200 to 186. I would expect Reclaim to still be in ZLO's court. He's on 21,800 more or less. Blackheart on 24,000. So no, Blackheart getting the better of that side of the game as well. Whalers fulfilling their role nicely and just peppering those destroyers. And those frigates probably not longed for this world either. In come a horde of scout planes, but ASFs for ZLO dealing with those very nicely indeed. Over to the east, a Siren and a Salem making life miserable for ZLO. His T2 naval HQ, which I hadn't realized had been constructed, goes down. He's got a lot of Wagners in the area to help kill these, but alas, couldn't save that naval facility. Down goes the cruiser. I doubt the Salem's gonna survive. There's just this relentless pressure heading south all day from Blackheart. One lone Wagner up at the back there, looking for target of opportunity. Just mexes currently unclaimed. You can almost trace the path that that Wagner has made on its way round. Why send 10 units when one will do? This is why Blackheart is so good. Engineers right on the front line, picking up as much reclaim as they can. And now T2 mexes under pressure once again on those cheeky Cybran destroyers. But every minute that goes by, we seem to be seeing Blackheart adding to his advantage. He hasn't managed to secure this southwestern island. The capacity that has been there has been destroyed. Looks like Blackheart hasn't managed to get cruisers down here in strong enough numbers to deal with the consistent emergence of these whalers. And systematically picking off things. There are still 3 operational mexes though on that island for Blackheart. And another group of Wagners heading north. Let's have a look at their trajectory. Well, that's where they're heading, due to make landfall up here if they're still alive on Blackheart's main base. Blackheart still not transitioning to T3 Navy. Guess he feels he doesn't need it. I think things are certainly going pretty well for him at the moment. That Wagner finally bites the dust, nearly managed to take an energy storage with him. But look at the amount of investment in power compared to Blackheart. 11k generated there per tick for ZLO compared to the 4.5k for Blackheart, who by the looks of things still hasn't even jumped into the T2 air game. It'll make life very difficult indeed for ZLO if he manages to get an air force online, as well as this marauding navy that seems to be causing so many problems for ZLO. Captains on these vessels with absolutely no respect for the lives of their crewmen whatsoever, but that's okay. You don't cry over the unnecessary death of Cybrans, as the saying goes. "34 minutes gone in this one, and Blackheart bottlenecked on power quite severely. He managed to get a T3 online. There's a sudden jump there as he just stopped building something or upgrading something. Hard to see, but suddenly well back into the positive. 8k being generated now. That would make me think that he's spammed up some more power somewhere. Spy planes overhead now for ZLO, no doubt looking for a target of opportunity. ZLO with a strategic missile defense. Haven't spied anything of that nature in Blackheart space, so he's simply being cautious. Stream of engineers heading north, straight to the center. I'm wondering if that's a an old rally point that ZLO has forgotten about. Could be engineers sent out to reclaim, but there's not really very much in that area, and that is literally marching to their doom, straight into the jaws of Blackheart's oncoming navy. But Blackheart easing off the gas a little bit here, so he hasn't tried to stamp his authority on this southwestern island. I'm surprised that we haven't seen more of a push from ZLO to pick this island back up quicker, but we do look like we have an engineer inbounds going straight after that mechs now. The problem is that does coincide with another little push coming from the north here from Blackheart. Siren inbound with what looks to be about 6 or 7 Wagners. Well, it looks like 6. So that engineer can have a tough time of things if ZLO isn't able to deal with that. Let's take a look at how things are shaping up in the air game, because that really is a crucial part of this one so far, judging by the strategy that ZLO is trying to employ. 20 whalers on the field. That is an awful lot of damage there for ZLO, and 22 ASFs. Now, Blackheart operating for the moment still off T1 air. He's sitting on just 26 or so. Rather surprised we're not seeing some more strap bombers employed in this one. But I haven't had a chance to examine Blackheart's base to see what he's got going on over here in terms of anti-air. Well, doesn't look like a great deal. We've got a bunch of tracers on the ground, but we do now have T3 air, so Blackheart recognizing the threat, and with the power finally to branch into that side of the game. 4 ASFs and climbing. There goes the 5th. So what advantage ZLO did have in the air game is now going to slip away if he's not careful, and of course he hasn't been branching heavily into the naval side of things as well. So this game, while having been unequal in mass for quite some time, looks like it's about to become very uneven on the field as well, with ZLO no longer able to count on cormorant and whaler spam to deal with all of those units. In come those Wagners we saw earlier. There's 3 of them alive still, and that old command still in place. There's a lot of build capacity that could suffer a great deal if they can manage to make it there. This is beginning to look scarier and scarier. Blackheart not charging straight in. He just has this very large blockade that's been creeping forward, using the range on those Salems to affect as much damage as he can on that standing frigate-based fleet here for Blackheart. That's a lot of naval firepower sitting just off the coast there. In come the whalers to try and thin them out. Now there's an awful lot of cruisers here, so the flak is going to be immense, but those whalers really do pack an absolute wallop, and they're pretty damn tanky as well. So while you conventionally wouldn't ever want to assault a fleet comprised partly of cruisers with a horde of gunships, if you've got this many T3 gunships, you're going going to get at least one successful engagement out of it, and there it goes. Very nicely done indeed. Those whalers, if we can keep them alive, can now go to work on those Salems and frigates, those tridents that are sitting down there. But Blackheart now announcing his status as a T3 air power. He brings in those ASFs to engage. ZLO's in the center. ZLO hadn't engaged stealth, but Blackheart getting the jump on those. That's a little bit of a minor victory there for Blackheart. And now ASF's free to harass the whalers. Don't forget though, of course, the whalers have on board anti-air. That really is a nasty ball of death. ZLO getting some really good work done in the air game here. Another couple of sirens further up. He needs to not hang around anywhere near those unless he is planning on taking them out, and it really does look like Blackheart is going mass cruiser spam now. T2 naval factory over here to the west producing cruisers. They're trickling in slowly, and that is a solid cruiser-based build order from the HQ as well, which are heading south as quickly as they can. A little bit of a rally point up here for NGs and Wagners, and there are those Wagners up at the back there. That T3 mechs and all its storage did die, and a whole bunch of build capacity as well by the looks of things. Those 3 Wagners still alive. 9 kills for one, 8 for the other, and 11 for that third tank there to the east. Lone whaler being sent off to pick up spare mass points as and where he can. 40 minutes gone now in this one. What, if anything, has ZLO got in the bag? Well, he's got a nuke launcher, so that could be interesting. And that's about 35 to 40% done on that nuke. The question is, will it still be alive by the time that missile is ready? Whalers have been effective until now, but he doesn't have ASFs to cover them anymore, and that is an awful lot of cruisers. In comes the next wave of ASFs, but it's too late. Those cruisers have dispatched the whalers, and now Blackheart will be relatively free to move in. Blackheart goading ZLO a little bit there with his choice of strat for Roanoke's. This does not seem good at all. That nuke is building nice and quickly. But there's very little shield coverage on that main base. And when these Salems and Sirens get in range, there's going to be an awful lot of destruction on this main island. ZLO gets his ACU out to the east of the island, immediately starts building some harms. T3 torpedo ambushing systems. Another group of whalers dispatched, but there's only 5 of them. Fierce air-to-air combat ensuing overhead, and there's just so many cruisers, so much AoE. They're just not lasting long enough. Blackheart needs to prioritize the power as soon as possible to try and prevent that nuke from completing. Down goes that unfinished air factory. And bring those cruisers forward. The next target to go down should be that ion reactor. Probably going to take that T1 factory with it, and the neighboring T2 air factory as well. But the nuke is ready, and immediately ZLO starts construction of a Monkey Lord whilst ordering the launch of the nuke launcher under fire, so it's not going to survive to build any more. Down it goes. The question is, where is the nuke heading? As I said earlier, I didn't see any nuke defense in Blackheart's base. Blackheart saying, why are you going after the base? Why not try to go after the ACU who's over here? Well, to be quite frank, we're just going to move out of the way. So, and ZLO also saying he can't scout, so he has no idea where the ACU actually is. It's a decent hit, though, right in the center of the main base, taking out all of the core mass for Blackheart. That still only drops him down to 290 mass per tick. That's way above what's coming in now for ZLO, sitting on 183, and that situation is going to get progressively worse in the coming minutes. ZLO saying really couldn't get into Navy in this one, prioritized perhaps a little bit too heavily on the air side of things. Down goes the air factory in the center. ZLO gonna play it out, but this game is well and truly over. ACU over to the right, surrounded by 3 harms, so going to be pretty difficult for Navy to get there. But certainly ZLO's base wilting very fast with absolutely nothing to stop it, really. Another group of Wagners coming in, though, for ZLO. Advancing on Blackheart's ACU position, going straight after that ion reactor. Had a little bit of trouble with the terrain. Those Wagners not going to survive long enough to do any damage there. Cerberus turrets in operation on site. Blackheart lost his right speaker somehow during the game. Clearly didn't distract him too much. Always nice to see friendly conversation, though, between 2 pros. So rare these days. Video games filled with smack talk. Two games I play these days. Supreme Commander Forged Alliance on FAF and League of Legends. 2 complete polar opposites in terms of community. One filled with probably the nicest group of people I've ever seen in a gaming community, and, well, the other one's League of Legends. Those of you who play will know what I'm talking about. Down go the build capacity and the last T2 mechs on there, the last structure on that island. ZLO now with just a few pockets of units kicking around. I think we can jump into +3 while we wait for Blackheart to tidy this one up. ZLO manages to finish the Monkey Lord, immediately heads north. Let's see what his my god, that is a convergence order if ever I've seen one. Blackheart orders absolutely everything to ZLO's position. Arm's going to take an awful lot of scalps here, but so many vessels. Forget those cruisers, though. Not packing any torpedoes on board. Goes the T3 mechs. That's going to eat into ZLO's eco. Drops from 38 to 13. Let's take a look at actually how people did on reclaim. So Blackheart scored around 52,400 to date. ZLO scored 62,000, so he did damn well. Got a full mass bar, of course, now not being able to spend it. Look at that. It's like some weird quantum singularity. Zillion tridents fusing together. And down goes the last harms, with ZLO not far behind it, trying to build T1 torpedo launches as quickly as he can, but eventually succumbs to the Salem pressure. That Monkey Lord actually heading up here, not too far away from Blackheart's comm. But very entertaining game nonetheless. Hope you enjoyed that, guys. 51 minutes and 30 seconds. I will try and get another cast to you this week, potentially going out on Sunday. No promises, though. We'll see how we do. In the meantime, though, as always, stay well and stay safe. This is Guile, signing out.